Significant theme in this part of the world. In fact, the Drakensberg is not only one of the most amazing and most beautiful mountain sites in the world, but it's also a water tower, a water orchard for Southern Africa. 6 of the major rivers of the country are sourced here. The Tugela, for example, the Orange and the Vaal, some of the names that you will recognize. So water, a very huge and significant theme, and something that needs to be protected and looked after. To tell us a little bit about the challenges that a catchment area such as this faces, and some of the things that can be done to preserve, is Professor Collins Everson with the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so it's a water orchard, 6 rivers sourced here. Something that we really need to take care of. But what are some of the threats facing a huge mountain catchment area such as this?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is global climate change.
Right.
So changes in rainfall patterns and increases in temperature are bound to have impacts on our water supply in the future, and we need to be aware of those. I think other issues are the resources that the management agencies have to manage the protected areas, and then the natural resource programs that the government have to integrate the conservation areas with the rural people who live along the borders and in some of the protected areas.
I would imagine as well, left to its own devices for millions of years it worked, and then of course human beings came into play, and we tend to interfere with the processes sometimes.
Yes, well, I think that's very true, and probably one of the biggest debates that's always gone around in the Drakensberg is the occurrence of fire and how frequent it should be. But we know that fire is a natural element, and in the Drakensberg, in order to maintain our grasslands and, in the same words, our water, we need to have a regular burning program, which requires lots of resources from Mzimvelo wildlife and so on.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the kinds of interventions and projects that are in place to try and preserve this.
Well, firstly, I think if we look at the rural areas, we have the Upper Tugela, which forms a large area between the KwaZulu-Natal and Cathedral Peak, and within those areas there are community-based catchment monitoring programs where we're working with communities to try and restore degraded areas, improve erosion, help them with the management of grazing. So the whole idea there is to preserve things like carbon, which is very important these days, sustain the water and prevent the siltation of downstream dams, which are so important to supplying water actually to the Transvaal through the pump storage. I needed to say Gauteng.
And what other interventions are there?
Well, what the communities are doing through a reward for ecosystem services process, the people are physically restoring dongas, working on grazing management systems, etc., to improve that, and at the same time through public works programs they're being employed. So it's a win-win situation.
I would imagine there are some socio-economic benefits as well as a result.
Well, I think definitely, obviously, the movement of money into those communities for education and all those impacts. Water in itself eventually may have to go up, and those people may be rewarded for producing good quality water by people who use it in the cities. So those are the thoughts for the distant future.
All right, Professor Collins Everson, we're going to have to leave it there for the time being, but thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program.
Good, thank you very much.